Here are the top stories for today, May 9, 2022. The Commission on Elections suspends the canvassing of votes. Today's national and local elections is said to be smooth and peaceful. President Rodrigo Duterte vows to track down criminals like he used to after he steps down from office in June. And another big-time oil price hike is expected tomorrow. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, suspends the canvassing of votes as it awaits for the transmission of the results. Comelec Chairman Saidamin Pangarungan said canvassing will resume tomorrow at 1 p.m. Meanwhile, the canvassing of votes for the presidential and vice presidential votes is on May 23 when Congress resumes. Comelec Commissioner George Erwin Garcia earlier said the poll body may already proclaim the winners for local positions as early as the evening of May 9 up to May 10, while the new senators may be proclaimed by May 15 to 16. An election watchdog said today's national and local elections have been smooth and peaceful as of 1 p.m. The National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, or Namfrel, said, based on the observation of volunteers, most polling places opened on time and no significant delay was recorded. Namfrel said the electoral boards, as well as the vote counting machines and election paraphernalia, were complete in most polling places. However, in several voting centers, COVID-19 protocols were not properly observed. Some volunteers also reported non-adherence to Comelec procedures, citing a situation in Pototan, Iloilo, where there was no uniformity in the sealing of the ballot box. Some vote counting machines also experienced various issues. The poll watchdog added that there were people seen wearing campaign shirts in voting centers. President Rodrigo Duterte casted his vote in the 2022 elections at Daniel R. Aguinaldo National High School in Matina, Davao City. The president was joined by his partner Hanilet Avesenia and Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo. Duterte earlier called the public to vote for candidates who loves the people. He also did not endorse any presidential candidate despite one tying up with his daughter Sara Duterte. More candidates in top positions have finished casting their votes for the 2022 elections before noon. The details from Stephanie Sevillano.
Presidential candidate Senator Panfilo Lacson voted at Bayan Luma 1 Elementary School in Imus, Cavite. Lacson reiterated his unblemished record in public service. He said he's now at peace, considering the results may bring him to Malacanang office or bring him back home. In the recent presidential survey released by Pulse Asia, Lacson maintained a 2% preference. Meanwhile, his stand-in vice presidential bet Senate President Vicente Soto III casted his vote at the White Plains Covered Court in Quezon City in the morning, along with his wife Helen Gamboa. Soto said he's willing to bet to prove that his running mate, presidential bet Lacson, won't get 0 votes in Visayas and Mindanao, contrary to survey results.
Posibleng 0 eh. Lalaban ako ng pusahan, kahit magkano. Hindi siya magiging 0 ng Visayas, Mindanao. Yung mga survey sinasabi 0 pa. Ano nangyari yun? Imposible. Doon pa lang, alam na natin kagad eh. Hindi accurate eh.
Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. casted his vote at Mariano Marcos Memorial Elementary School in Batac, Ilocos Norte past 7 in the morning. He's accompanied by his son Sandro, nephew Governor Matthew Joseph Manotoc, and sister Irene Marcos Araneta. His tandem Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte voted at Daniel Aguinaldo National High School past 9 in the morning. She also signed the armchair she used while casting her vote. Vice President and presidential candidate Leni Robredo cast her vote in her hometown province, Magarao, in Camarines Sur. Robredo waited in line for almost 2 hours before casting her vote in Karangang Elementary School. Her tandem vice presidential candidate Kiko Pangilinan meanwhile casted his vote in Silang, Cavite. He was with his wife, megastar Sharon Cuneta. Manila Mayor and presidential candidate Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso cast his vote around 11 in the morning at Magad Elementary School. Dumagosa said he is satisfied with peaceful conduct of elections. He also thanked his supporters and volunteers who stayed with him until the end of his presidential campaign. His standing vice presidential candidate Willie Ong and his wife Doc Liza voted together at the Dasmariñas Village Clubhouse in Makati City. Presidential candidate and labor leader Leode de Guzman casted his vote in Cainta, Rizal past 8 in the morning, while Senator Manny Pacquiao cast his vote just before noon at the Kiamba Central School SPED Center in Sarangani. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Stephanie Sevillano.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, condemned the shooting of a teacher in Negros Occidental. The victim, a teacher at the Himamaylan National High School, was identified as Mercy Miguel. She was shot and killed while on her way home on the eve of the elections. Miguel was supposed to serve in the 2022 elections. Police have yet to identify whether the incident was election-related. Voting period beyond 7 p.m. is unlikely to happen, according to the Comelec and Bank. This amid reports of issues regarding the glitches experienced with the vote counting machines, or VCMs. Comelec Commissioner George Erwin Garcia says the poll body is in full control of what is happening right now and that minor glitches are anticipated and have already been solved. This is about 2,000 vote counting machines, or VCMs, have encountered some issues before the opening of polling places. Among the reported problems are paper jam, rejected ballots, VCM scanner and printer not printing, and VCM not printing properly. 10 VCMs are said to be defective and need replacements. Comelec Commissioner Marlon Casquejo said a total of 1,900 contingency VCMs are on standby. Garcia said the extension of voting hours will be case-to-case basis. Meanwhile, Comelec has tapped more police personnel as special electoral boards to man the polling precincts in Cotabato City. This as the 175 original electoral boards have backed out due to perceived threats. Acting Comelec spokesman John Rex Laudianco said that while there were no actual harm or threats done to them, there are still perceived threats in their persons. Under the Election Service Reform Act, in cases where the peace and order situation requires and there are no qualified voters willing to serve, uniformed personnel of the Philippine National Police shall be deputized to render election service as a last resort. Comelec Commissioner George Erwin Garcia earlier assured that the poll body is in full control of the elections amid the presence of unwanted incidents in various parts of the country. Police reported several gun-related incidents that happened before and during the elections. In Barangay Poblacion, Buluan, Maguindanao, at least 3 persons died in a shootout near a polling center past 8 o'clock this morning. A driver of a mayoral candidate was also stabbed by unidentified men. The local police, led by Town Police Chief Lieutenant Semafranco Semacho, is still investigating the incident. Last night, police arrested a man for violating the election gun ban in San Jose, Negros Oriental. They seized 2 Glock pistols and ammunition. The suspect was in a traffic accident involving his driven vehicle and a motorcycle when he was arrested. Still ahead, voters in Quezon City complain about defective vote counting machines in their precincts. Senator Manny Pacquiao is told to prove his allegations of corruption in the Department of Education. We'll be back after a quick break. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom. The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
You are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective.
I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get
vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as soon as possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic, because everyone is safe. No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work. A high turnout has been anticipated as voters passionately cast their choices despite glitches and challenges. Stephanie Sevillano has the details.
High turnout has been anticipated as voters passionately cast their choices despite glitches and challenges. In Quezon City, Revangeline did not mind bringing her 4-month-old daughter to Old Balada School since she's into breastfeeding. Although they are in the priority lane, it took her more than an hour to vote.
Pagod na pagod, gutom. Pero okay na rin, naging masaya at nakaboto rin ako na maayos. Para sa akin bilang Pilipino, karapatan kong bumoto para sa ating kinabukasan.
Another first-time voter in White Plains-covered court can't help but think how the elections may affect his siblings.
Kinakabahan naman ako kasi syempre yung iboboto namin ng Pilipinas ngayon, yung magiging leader ng next 6 years ng Pinas. Syempre yung kinakabukasan ko, tapos yung kinakabukasan ng mga kapatid ko.
Meanwhile, several other voters posted their frustrations online as some vote counting machines and SD cards turned out to be defective.
Assurance na binigay sa amin ang Comelec kung anong oras darating. Kasi daw, sabay-sabay nila, nire-retrieve nila muna yung mga may problem sa SD card. Pero nireport na nila. Alam na ng Laguna.
The netizen said voters in Biniyahan Elementary School were asked to wait in lines or sign a waiver to leave their ballots. Another online post indicated voters were told to resort to manual voting in Lupang Pangako Elementary School. Amid all this, the Commission on Elections assured the public that they are in full control and that such glitches were anticipated.
The entire NBank is in front of you today. And we are guaranteeing you that this is part of the protocol. Sabi po nung ilang nakatatanda, hihintayin namin. Hindi po kami aalis hanggat walang resibo. Ang problema po namin, pag binasfeed po natin yung mga balota, kanino po namin bibigay yung resibong yun? Hindi naman po nakapangalan yung balota sa isang tao. So, imposible rin po yung hinihingi nila.
The Comelec ensured election integrity won't be compromised as poll watchers will monitor the mass feeding protocol. The Comelec added they have 1,900 contingency VCMs in place. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Stephanie Sevillano.
Authorities are in full force to ensure safe and orderly elections. In Eastern Visayas, over 3 million voters trooped to cast their votes in over 6,000 polling precincts in the region. Police Regional Director Brigadier General Bernard Banac said no untoward incidents were reported. The PNP also noted the peaceful opening of precincts despite reported shooting incidents in San Isidro and Tabango towns in Leyte, as well as the attack on government forces in Las Navas, Northern Samar. Meanwhile, vote-counting machines in Misamis Oriental are generally functional and their minor issues are already resolved. The National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, or Namfrel, earlier said some technical concerns on how to operate the vote-counting machines have already been resolved. And in Bulacan, voters remain patient and have kept the situation in order as they queued going to their respective poll precincts. At the Pantok Elementary School, voters endured the half-kilometer stretch under the heat. In Ilocos Sur, allegations of vote buying reportedly triggered a shooting incident that left 4 dead in Magsingal. Charges will be filed against the two groups who were said to be supporters of rival mayoral candidates Alrico Fabis and Lori Salvador Jr. Initial police investigation showed that the incident stemmed from an alleged vote-buying activity that went out of control. And in San Antonio, Nueva Ecija, 8 people, including a police officer, were arrested Sunday night following a tension that broke between security personnel of 2 mayoral candidates. Based on police investigation, security personnel of both incumbent Mayor Arvin Salong and mayoral candidate Agripino Javier were arrested for having an altercation which ensued when a vehicle owned by the camp of Javier collided with one of the 7 convoy vehicles of Salonga. Armed men suddenly appeared from nowhere, but authorities were quick to respond and arrest them. The group will be charged with a violation of the Comprehensive Law on Firearms and Ammunition and reckless imprudence resulting in damage of property. Senator Manny Pacquiao is urged to prove his allegations of corruption in the Department of Education or DepEd. During the panel interview of the Commission on Elections and Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas, Pacquiao said the quality of education is not improving due to corruption and that the funds of DepEd funds are not properly utilized. DepEd was displeased that Pacquiao did not identify the education officials whom he said received commissions amounting to 40% of the cost of their projects. In a statement, DepEd said the presidential candidate must identify the corrupt officials he accused to alleged wrongdoing and not rely on generalities to put down the whole institution. The Armed Forces of the Philippines have deployed nearly 70,000 soldiers to provide security to Elections Day. These include the troops deployed in the so-called red and orange areas or areas placed under Comelec control. The AFP has also prepared a contingency force and command centers at all levels to respond to any emergency. AFP spokesperson Colonel Ramon Zagala said the armed forces is confident that it could maintain safe and peaceful elections. More stories from the newsroom. President Duterte says he hopes to track down criminals again after he steps down from office in June. Oil firms are expected to announce a large-scale fuel price hike after the elections. Details ahead. Stay with the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte said he is eager to resume his motorcycle riding activities and track down criminals like he used to after he steps down from office in June. In a speech during the Hugpong ng Pagbabago meeting de Avance on Friday, Duterte warned criminals, especially drug smugglers, not to let their guards down since he would still find and capture them. Last March, Duterte expressed hope that his successor would continue his drug war, saying he is worried about a possible resurgence.
Karon di na ko presidente, wag yung magbuot na ko. Magmotor ko, suri-suri ko sa mangita ko drogista, posilo na ko. Patyo na ko.
President Rodrigo Duterte will step down from office in less than 2 months with landmark programs from which Filipinos will reap benefits way beyond his term. Among those is the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program, or BP2, that encourages people to return to the provinces with beneficiaries armed with sustainable livelihood opportunities among incentives. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, most of the BP2 applicants are those who lost jobs or residing in slum areas. The Department of Labor and Employment, through its Bureau of Workers with Special Concerns, is among the lead agencies of the BP2 program. Beneficiaries are trained under the DOLE's Integrated Livelihood Program, while regional offices provide kabuhayan starter kits once they reach their home provinces. The government guides every family beneficiary through the transition process. The program recently facilitated the return of 13 beneficiaries to Siquijor, Samar, and Northern Samar for free. Oil companies are expected to increase pump prices this week after the elections. An industry source says the price of diesel may climb by 3 pesos and 70 centavos to 4 pesos per liter. Gasoline may go up by 4 pesos to 4 pesos and 40 centavos per liter based on the May 2 to May 6 average of mean of Platts, Singapore, the regional pricing benchmark for refined oil products. UniOil's fuel price forecasts show that the cost of diesel is seen to rise by 3 pesos and 90 centavos to 4 pesos per liter, and gasoline by 4 pesos to 4 pesos and 20 centavos per liter. The Department of Energy, or DOE, said global events had triggered volatility in global crude prices. Earlier, Philippine Shell Petroleum Corporation assured its customers of supply stability since the listed company is not sourcing any of its products from Russia. A large contingent representing the Philippines is going to Hanoi, Vietnam by Tuesday for the 31st Asian Games. 2019 SEA Games multiple medalist and world champion gymnast Carlos Edriel Yulo will lead the delegates alongside the women's volleyball team. The main bulk of track and field athletes and officials will be in Hanoi on Wednesday, including pole vault Asian record holder Ernest John Obiena. Several other Filipino athletes have already arrived and settled in. For its part, the Philippine Sports Commission vows to receive the athletes and extend assistance so they could concentrate on their competitions. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The Commission on Elections suspends the canvassing of votes. Today's national and local elections is said to be smooth and peaceful. President Rodrigo Duterte vows to track down criminals like he used to after he steps down from office in June. And another big-time oil price hike is expected tomorrow. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.